slope right there, isn't that the y-intercept? And then that's negative
The slope, no, the slope's not the y-intercept, but we'll look at it. There's a few ways you can think about this. The first thing is, does anybody know what standard form is?
Oh, I know.
Patrick.
Y equals mx plus b.
That is slope-intercept form. That's not standard form.
Ooh. I don't know.
So standard form, an example. Here's an example of standard form.
A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
That's Pythagorean theorem. But it has the a's and b's initially. So an example would be, you want something that looks like that. Something with x plus or minus something with y equals a number. That's your goal. So if your answer doesn't look like that, it needs to look like that. And so you usually say standard form is ax plus by equals c. That's usually how you write it. Okay? So now, it's taking you through a point. So because our next problem is asked about point slope form, I'm going to start with point slope form. So here's point slope form.
What is that?
Point slope. There's a couple ways you can write point slope form. Write this down. I do what's called graph ready point slope form. All right, so you'll have y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1. And so all that means, here's all that means. Usually you have, when you graph a line, a y-intercept, right? Because you said y equals mx plus b. You have a y-intercept and a slope. On this form, you have a point and a slope. And the reason I want to teach you this is because, look it, they give us a point and a slope. So all we're going to do to change this into point slope form is just to take this information and substitute it into our equation. So our equation is going to be y equals, now what's m usually represent?
The x-intercept?
What's the m represent usually?
The x-intercept?
Not the x-intercept.
Slope.
Slope. So the slope of this line is 2. So I'm going to take the m, substitute the m out, and put a 2 in. Now x1, y1 is your point. So what is the x coordinate of the point? What's the x coordinate of our point right here?
Negative 1 over 2.
Negative 1 comma 2. So the x coordinate is negative 1. So I'm going to put a plus 1 right here. And since the y coordinate is 2, I'm going to put a plus 2 at the end. And that's it. That's your point slope form. In the next equation, you have to do the same thing. So that's your point slope form. So again, you have your slope. You have the opposite. Notice this is the opposite right here. So you have the opposite of the x and then the y at the end. And that's it. I wrote the equation in point slope form. The problem is it wants us to be in standard form. So we're going to have to do some algebra manipulation stuff here. So when you see parentheses and a number out in front, what do you usually do? When you see this, and I want to say, I want to simplify this, what do I usually do? What's that? Distribute. So let's go ahead and distribute here. Because what we want is the x's and y's to be on one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute y equals 2x plus 2 plus another 2 from the end here. So we get y equals 2x plus 4. Now it's in slope-intercept form. This is slope-intercept. So in this problem, we're going to go through all three forms. We already had it. We put it initially in point-slope form. We need to change it to slope-intercept form. So now what we do is we need to get it in standard form. We want to get the x's and the y's on the left side. So I'm pretty close. How can I make this have the x's and y's on the left side? The y's are already over here. So what else do I need to move over here? The x. So how can I move this 2x to the left side?
Track forward.
If I subtract 4 from both sides, it moves the 4 over.
Divide 2.
Oh,
I want to move this whole term right here to this
Oh,
side.
divided by 2.
Not divided by, because that'll divided by 2 is going to keep the x right where it is.
Oh, minus 2.
Subtract the 2x, exactly. So subtract the 2x from both sides.
On the y side.
Because that is what they're asking for with the standard form right here. So your final answer would be negative 2x plus y equals 4.
That is standard form.
That is standard form. And this one, they want us to write it in point slope form. And this time they're giving us, it's going through a point, and it's parallel to a point, or to a line. What does parallel mean?
right next to it, like side by side, never touching.
They never intersect. So what do you know about the slopes of two parallel lines?
They're gonna be zero.
They're going to be
The
equal
same.
to each other.
They're equal to each other, yeah. So if you have a parallel line that runs like this, has a certain slope, this line will have the same slope. So we're actually really close because we want a point slope form, which means we need a point and the slope, hence point slope form. And I just showed you point slope form. Again, Miss McGrath might teach a little differently because she probably doesn't use the graph ready. I like this better, just it's easier to plug stuff in for me. This is my graph ready point slope form. So what is my point going to be that I want the line to go through?
Wait, what do you mean?
What point do they want the line to go through?
In the middle of both parallel? Oh, 2 and 0?
2, 0. So 2, 0 is the point we want it to go through. This is our x. This is our x1. And 0 is our y1. So I do know that I'm just going to write in here. So it's going to be x minus what?
X minus x1.
And what's x1? 2. So x minus 2 plus y1. What's y1?
0.
0. So let's leave that like that. And since it's parallel to this line, it's parallel to this line, what's the slope of this line?
Positive.
It's positive. What is it though?
1 over 3.
1 over 3. The slope of this is 1 over 3. That's what m equals. So we can go ahead and just finish this up. Y equals, what's our slope?
1/3
1/3.
x.
Parenthesis x minus 2. And you could put a plus 0 at the end. I will just so you guys can see
Where'd
that
you get the minus 2 at?
the minus 2 came from this 2 right here.
Oh.
In point slope form, it's always the opposite of whatever these are. So the x's, since this says minus, it's the opposite of that. And this is our answer right here. Questions?